I don't see. Oh, there it is. Okay, so it looks like we're live. I got a comment right away.
Oh, wait.
I got something right away.
Oh, you have something. Okay.
I have something right away. That 30 seconds, right? We're live. People could hear us if we were talking, but
Yeah.
we're forced to be quiet because it's like, unless I want to say something, but it's 30 seconds of quiet. I was like, oh my God, like it's so nice. It's so quiet.
I have to tell you because we did like 15 seconds before,
Yeah.
and it wasn't enough time. Like the whole Instagram thing, it won't even appear as an option for like 10 full seconds. So I think it's broken for about 10 seconds, and then it appears when I hit the little buttons or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like actually the perfect amount of time because I basically have 5 seconds to unmute my mic in order to pop on.
Well,
here.
I was just sitting there. I was like, I'm not talking. I have nothing. I mean, it was peaceful.
Chad, you know level 1 of Tiny Risks includes
But-
something like that. It's a lot more than 30 seconds, but it's like an hour.
It's like, what do you mean?
You're in a
Like, what
car,
do you
right?
mean?
So it's like go sit somewhere, or even at your house. Like there's like literally no downside to this. That's why it's like level 0 Tiny Risk.
Yeah.
But it's hard for people to sit
Oh,
still
dude, it's
for
impossible.
30 minutes. 30 seconds is great. 30 minutes, you're like, oh my, and then
No
1 minute,
phone.
you'll be freaking out.
No, yeah.
I did it the first test group. I was driving across the states, so I had like 8 hours in my car, and I wasn't gonna like join in. I was just kind of hosting, but I was like, I'm gonna do this, and I decided I was like, screw it, I've got some time, and I did 2 hours without any radio or anything, which I call raw dogging the
drive.
the drive. And I was like, this is painful. And then I almost ran out of gas, but I didn't want to use my phone to like check where the gas station was.
You were committed. You were committed
I was
to the
committed. I was
experience.
like, you know what? This is perfect Tiny Risk. If I run out of gas in the middle of Arizona desert or wherever the hell I was, then there's going to be a story, and I'll be like, this creates the memory, and this slows down time. All of the stuff we talked
all
about.
the things. Well, it's funny too because also talking about the silence and sitting with silence.
Mm-hmm.
It's so almost impossible for people today, purely because of technology, right? To sit with their own silence because you know why? Your thoughts just get out of control. They're wild, and like anyway. So that was my first observation. 30 seconds. And for those who want to know, I am sitting in a car on the side of the road on off of Ventura Boulevard. So you'll see cars running by. But yeah, it's off of the Ventura Boulevard in Tom Petty's song, right? Free Falling. Living in Reseda, off Ventura Boulevard.
When we moved to California, I was
I'm literally in Reseda. I'm in Reseda.
This song was talking about all these places that I now know about.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm like literally in Reseda off of Ventura Boulevard.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, cool.
All right.
We've got a shorter amount of time. You're on a car going someplace, and you have to be at a place at a certain time.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a live stream show that we called Breakthroughs Live. Get the breakthrough before something breaks you. And I'm trying to make this intro quicker now, which is essentially Chad and I have had shit happen to us that broke us down, and it was all very preventable in our minds. And we want to help other people get a breakthrough, whatever that might look like for you, before something breaks you like it had broken us. So that's why we're here. Each live stream, we kind of tackle one topic or micro problem, as we call it. And today's topic is being afraid of what people think about you and how that affects you internally, in your soul and in your physiological being and in your thoughts and all of that stuff that can eventually break you. So the thought experiment question that we have is, how would your day change if you weren't afraid of being judged? And I have a feeling this is going to be common for a lot of people.
Yeah. And I like to say this all the time. Like it doesn't matter what level, and I don't know what else to put it, level in life, whatever the hell that even means, right? Like doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter your socioeconomic status, your race, your whatever, your gender, whatever it is. everybody in some way has this fear of being judged.
Yeah.
And I mean, very few people are can completely ignore it. There's very few. I would say 2%, right?
Yeah. Probably 1%. And we're trying to, we got to break down, like, why do we do this? You know, like, what's the point of it? I guess first, like, what does it look like, just to paint the picture for people, because they feel it all the time, but they might not be like connecting the dots. And kind of to your Levels comment, like, it could be something very small and very stupid. And those are usually the more frustrating things, because you're like, why do I give a shit? I don't give a shit, right? But then you do it, you adapt to other people because you want them to like you or be okay with you. It could be as simple as like how you act at the grocery store, what you wear outside, because you're like, I'm not going to wear that because it might draw attention in the wrong way, and I want people to think of me in a certain way. And it could be fearing, like, I want to start this project, or I want to publish this thing, or I want to create this thing, and you never actually do it. You never start it, or you never finish it, because the moment it becomes exposed to the public world, you are now at the mercy of people's opinions of you and what you do. And a lot of people adapt themselves to avoid that discomfort, to avoid that possibility of things going poorly. And I'll just state that as I talk about this out loud, as a kid, we just don't have this problem as much, you know, like, because we don't understand the world and all this stuff yet, and how, like, being a part of society, like, matters for your success in life or whatever it is. As a kid, you're like, I don't know, I'm just going to wear whatever. I mean, I think about our niece who wears the coolest shit. And there's a lot of kids like this. You've seen them all over Instagram and stuff, but they're just like, I feel like wearing this. And you're like, yeah, that wouldn't fly. Like, the moment you're 12, that doesn't fly anymore.
Oh, let's give an example. Like, for her graduation, she's like 4, right? 4.
Yeah.
For her graduation, she wanted to wear a bathrobe. The best part is our sister is like, whatever you want to wear. And I was like, I love it, dude. She went up and got her little degree in a bathrobe. No, she has zero care about being judged. She's like, no. And she put her hood up. That was the best.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, when I was 4, I couldn't even comprehend what being judged was. Like, I don't know. I remember seeing, like, old VHS videotapes. I'm like, I would never act like that now. So, like, something happens as you go through school and you integrate into the norms of society, where all of a sudden it's in your best interest to not just do random shit or say things that you feel because it might interact with, like, your prosperity or whatever it is.
Well, let's talk about there's 2 things that I want to. Why do we do it? Or, like, what effect does it have, right? And then, like, I forgot the second part, but the first part is, and it'll come to me, it'll come back. But it's like the fear, like, what is happening? What is happening? Like, what is it? What are we afraid of? Like, what is it? Like, why? Like, why?
Why? Yeah, I mean, personally, it's this whole awareness thing, right? We learn all of this stuff and then we're not aware of it. And then we're like, why do we feel bad? And again, this is the whole build up to when something breaks. So we're trying to create awareness for it. And
stop right there. Stop right. That's what I'm talking about. What does it do to us if we hang on to it?
Okay.
What does it do to us if we hang on to fear of judgment?
Yeah. So I would say, like, why do we do it? When I think about why I've done it in the past, and I, like, look back, and it's weird because when it's happening, you're not paying attention. It's like after the fact, you're like, why did I say it that way? Or why did I not send that thing? Or it's usually not doing something that you could have done, or it's saying yes to something you didn't want to do. But I'm like, when I look at it, I'm like, if I didn't do it, if I didn't adapt myself to make sure I wasn't being judged in a certain way, what happens is I'm afraid of losing a connection with this person. And it's so dumb because sometimes the people aren't even, like, close to me. They're people on the internet who don't even know who I am, right? So, like, I'm comparing and contrasting, and I don't want to say this thing because I'm afraid of what Joe Schmo will say, who I will never talk to in my life. And it's this desire to make sure everybody's held in this, like, status quo, like I feel like the sun and everybody's a planet, and I'm trying to, like, make sure everybody's okay. This is what I also mentioned, the people pleasing live stream we did. It's the same sort of idea, which is if everybody's okay with me, then I can keep living normally. And the moment I say what I really want to say or publish what I want to say, publish or do what I want to do, I risk losing connection with these people. And I think the deeper level to that is I'm afraid of, we talked about this before. If I said exactly what I wanted to say or do it exactly what I want to do all of the time, I would just seem very much like an asshole. I would probably lose these connections. When I say connections, it's not even just relationships. It's just connections to people. And I want their support in my life. And I think it just comes back to a more ancestral thing about wanting to be in the tribe, in the community. And the moment you do not act in the best interest of what your community thinks of you, you get kicked out of the tribe. And now you're isolated. And now you're going to die if this was way back in the day. I think it's something with that.
What happens is this is how the mind works, right? Mind always goes to worst case scenario. Always goes to worst case scenario. And I think whether people realize it or not, this is the subconscious, the automatic subconscious thinking that people don't realize is happening. But the real truth of it is if you're afraid of being judged, what you're really afraid of is being exiled by your community or that person, right? Usually it's a community of some kind. But if you were truly doing what you thought, saying what you thought, doing what you wanted to do, by the way, you have one fucking life, dude. You might as well do it. But the problem is we think it's infinite, especially younger, right? Mm-hmm. The fear is people, they get exiled. And I remember this guy. So where we lived in Ohio, we had this house. We had this house that was kind of backing in, and it had an alleyway. And on the alleyway was like driveways to two other houses before we got to our house. And the guy that lived in the house right next to where we lived, I remember, was Amish. And I remember one day going, I couldn't figure it out. I was like, he's driving a car. He lives here. He's not in Pennsylvania or, somewhere in Ohio, the border of Pennsylvania and Ohio. I'm like, I don't understand. And when I realized is he left the Amish community and he was exiled. Like, he's like, this isn't for me. And then he was literally by himself. And he was fine. He was a really nice guy. He drove like a Jeep Cherokee or something now. Like, normal dude. When I say normal, I mean like you wouldn't know he was Amish or he was Amish. But it was because once he decided to think what he wanted to think and do what he wanted to do, he was exiled. And he had no contact with his family, nothing.
Yeah.
And I think people fear that.
That brings a story up. Where I had a friend in college and he needed to say something to his family, but he was afraid to say it for decades. And he didn't say it because he didn't want them to, I don't know, just like kind of remove him from the family, disown him, like in a way. And, eventually he did, and it's not great. And that was his fear the whole time. And so and I think this just plays out all over the place. And that's, again, the level sort of thing, like what you just described and what I just described is a high level of fear of judgment. Like there is real world consequence, like immediate, that is dramatic. And then there's all this very small stuff, but it's the same underlying theme, which is the more people like me, the more ability I have to stay in this community and, help each other out. But then, in modern day, there, I was reading this book about neuro stuff and it talks about this, this, what's in our DNA to not want to be kicked out of the tribe. Because back in the day, that meant you died. Like you'd be out in the cold with no resources and an animal would eat you, or whatever it is. Yeah. And so you adapted and you always were making sure everybody was good to go. And today we don't, necessarily leave the tribe and get killed, right? Like we have resources to be able to operate on our own more independently. But deep down, we still want that ability to connect with all these people. So
this is fascinating because you're right. Ancestrally, right? Is that's the right word?
I don't know. It's the thing the book is.
Yeah. But what I'm saying, I use the word that I don't even know. But my point is it's actually part of the brain process, and that's a hardware component,
Yeah.
right? It's hard coded in the sense of I got to be a part of the community to literally live, right?
Survival.
Well,
Yeah.
nowadays there's a minute and back then that was the community. Like you really didn't have anything else unless the neighboring tribe who was sometimes fighting you
Yeah.
would allow you in. Well, in the world of today where we have the internet, we have access to thousands of communities. Like some of the weirdest niches on the internet, right, are like little communities of like, we only knit 12 by 12 blankets for newborns. Like literally that could be a community.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the specificity is insane, but because of the hardwire, because of the hard coding of fear of being kicked out of community, we still operate as if we need to appease to stay in a community, even though there's thousands that you could be a part of. That is really for you.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah. It's like,
Didn't even think of it that way.
It's just like this fear of being isolated from people. This is the same thing with when we talk about anxiety, right? Where it's like the mechanism for anxiety is this ancestral thing, right? About being chased by a bear and like fight or flight type of stuff. But we aren't being chased by a bear. We just get the same mechanism of fight or flight inside, and we start freaking out, and it hurts, it damages us. And this is sort of the same idea, which is like we're afraid of isolation a long, long time ago, and it's hard coded in our DNA to be afraid of isolation still, even though it's not necessarily, the be all end all in today's world. And so like I think it's just like you don't want to be alone in the world. That's really what it is. You want support of others in your community.
Well, and also people are getting afraid of this idea of getting canceled now. Right? Like you just have that's always in the back of your head because of what's happened in the last, like, I don't know, 5 years or some shit.
Because
right? This whole idea of canceling didn't even
if
exist.
You get canceled, you're isolated from the communities.
That's right.
Whether it's a good cancel or bad cancel, or
it doesn't matter.
What happened or it didn't matter. It's like you were adapting because you were afraid of being removed from society. That's literally what canceling was.
Oh, I think this is funny now. It's not funny, but funny. Like I often worry that I'm going to say something because I'm pretty direct and opinionated, and I am pretty direct and opinionated with people I'm close to, but I was less direct and opinionated. We'll call it digitally. I am definitely becoming more direct opinionated, but that's because I saw my life ending and I said, I don't give a fuck. We obviously don't want people to get to that point. But I literally wonder about these live streams all the time. Like, am I going to say something that's going to do it? I go, but what would happen? Like, first off, the difference is, I think, in this whole canceling thing, I care about creating value for the world that helps people. Usually people are getting canceled because they're so hard on their opinion. They can't have a dialogue, right? And that is destructive, right?
Yeah.
But I can have an opinion that might be different than somebody else's as long as I go about it in a way that creates an opening for dialogue. In fact, Stacey and I actually had this yesterday. We were talking about something and she told me she was worried for a minute of telling me about her opinion on something because of my judgment. But then she approached it with a conversation because she educated herself on this topic. She she figured out what her opinion was. She saw both sides of the stories and she was like, oh, wow. And we had a legitimate dialogue. And I was like, and she goes, I didn't feel judged because we had a dialogue. I go, well, part of it is just, kind of learn and understand what the ideas are so you don't have to know 100% on both sides or any side of the idea, but you need to know enough to be conversational.
I mean, that's an issue with the world, which is it's snap judgment, right?
That's
it's literally like
it's all reactive.
Everybody wants to put people on the spot to like, what is your opinion? You're like, I don't know my full opinion because I haven't spent all this time in conversation to like open it up. Yeah. So like, I mean, I'll bring this back to another anecdote, which is like we were talking about, like, you have friends group in different eras of your life. And, recently I was like, I feel like I like all of the friends group I've created all over the world, really. And they're like literally these little small pockets. But sometimes I'm like, I want to find a different friend group, or a group, not even friend group. It's just I'm seeking people for a very specific part of my world, and like how I think and
that you've
how
created.
I operate. Yeah. And so like, and I used to be afraid to do that because I have to go seek these people. I have to go find them in the world. And that's really daunting and exhausting and to think about. And so I'm afraid of feeling too isolated by like detaching a little bit from this one and going out into like space and not being able to find the next one. And now I'm like in limbo, and that's frightening. And so we had talked about it. Like sometimes you have to be the signal and like attract people by creating the thing you want to do, or just being the person you want to be, i.e. not adapting all of the time for everyone. And then those people will come to you. You're like teasing them out of all of the stuff. But yeah, I mean, your cancer, my strokes, I had conversation with people in my family that I like dumped all kinds of things that I had been building up inside of me, because all of a sudden when you get brushed really close to death, you're like, nothing matters. I'm going to say what I feel. And it wasn't the most constructive conversation, but it eventually worked out very well. Yeah. Anyway, it's hard to do until you have that visceral feeling of like nothing matters except for being myself.
Yeah. Well, we gotta wrap this up in a couple of minutes because I got to get to this appointment. But I would say this. So like, what do people do? Like, that's what they're like, what do they do? And like, obviously we still figuring stuff out too, but I think there's two things that come into play, maybe three, probably four. I don't know. But the first one I think about is really, it's just self-confidence or self-security. Like, it's insecurity that breeds fear of judgment, and you're insecure, or people are insecure because they're going to get exiled. Well, you're only insecure because you don't realize that there's tons of communities out there that would totally accept you for who you are or how you think. Mm-hmm. That's the scariest part, though, because this is coming back to brain science. When you're a kid, you literally don't have these neural patterns. That's why our niece can walk to her graduation in a robe, because she doesn't care. Because there's no neural patterns. But give it time, and all of a sudden you have these repetitions of things. Oh, someone doesn't like my robe. Oh, I shouldn't wear a robe. And I hope that never leaves her. But, the way things typically go with human brains is that the repetition of things create, that's why they say people don't change much after X amount of age, 35 or something like that. You literally have to work at changing how you think about things. And that includes, one, I think things differently than the group I'm a part of. I'm afraid to say it because I'm afraid to be exiled. So how do you get the confidence, right, or the security in self, right, to be able to be the person you want to be through the words you say or the things you build or the things you do? And you first have to be aware. Then you have to think about it differently. For example, if you get exiled from your group, there's 1,000 groups, so you can go to another one. That's the first thought. There's plenty of people just like you.
And I would say there's not only 1,000 groups that are because of the internet that you can find in a drop of a hat, but I was just thinking about that ancestral stuff. And I was like, if you're in this group and you're just like, this is not me, this group isn't me, and I have these ideas and these things I want to do, you create your own group. like there might be 1,000 communities out there, but even if you can't find it or none of them are quite right, you do what aligns with you, and people will join your group. Like you become the creator of your own, stuff, which is the whole putting the signal out.
The warning, and also the interesting closing of the loop here. The warning is if you do leave your group to create your own thing, you might be the only person for a while. Yeah. Which comes back to what we said at the beginning. Sitting with your thoughts is scary. Mm-hmm. And so now sitting with creating on your own is also scary. But you got one life, dude.
Yeah.
Don't it's so cliche. Don't waste it.
The whole like feeling when you are the only person in your community that you're creating, then you are not going to and you're by yourself for a long time, you are going to be looking, people are going to like, that's a little weird. That person is doing weird stuff by himself or herself. Yeah. And, but eventually you do it long enough and people will come, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
I know we gotta go.
we had to cut this one short, and it's because we can keep going, just like all of them.
Yeah.
But this is forcing us to cut here. So why don't you just wrap it up, and then
yeah,
go from there.
we'll skip the how supply run applies
Yeah, we have to,
moment because it just takes too long. But yeah, if I don't know if any of this resonates, leave a comment, ask us questions. Like that's what we're trying to do here. This is our version of making a community in a way, right? We're creating something that doesn't exist. We're out here mostly alone, doing things alone until people show up. So leave a comment. Go to supplyrunshow.com if any of this is interesting. You can watch our pilot season, apply to be a courier. And just subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss these live streams. We just sort of talk about it 2 minutes before it goes on. Eventually we'll get better at that. But
we'll get
yeah,
better.
I think that's it.
All right. We're going to do it again, maybe tomorrow, but definitely Friday.
Yep.
All right.
Big gulps, huh?
Well, see you later.